Welcome to Journey to Queendom, the sacred space where survival ends and sovereignty begins. I'm your host, Marci J. Duncan, and this is where we lay down the cape of overachievement, code switching, and self doubt, and we pick up the crown of softness, wholeness, and authenticity. Hey, y'all, welcome back. This is part two for Journey to Queendom. I'm Marci, your host. And this episode is Lessons from Love. Now, when I last left you, we were talking about um, all of the expectations that I had learned from society, from religion, from the culture, from television about what marriage should be, what a wife should be. And I was so weighed down by all of these expectations that I started to unravel. And my husband and I, we had been married for years at this point, and it was starting to move out of the honeymoon phase and into the reality phase, which I started getting met with things like I have to be accountable to him. Like he's challenging me on decisions that I'm making, why I didn't consult him, why I didn't consider him. He's not giving me everything I want just because I say I want it. And because he starts to ask questions like, where are you? What are you doing? What's going on? I get offended. I am getting upset with having to answer these questions. And I don't understand why. I really don't understand why. For the first time, I started feeling jealousy. I started feeling so jealous. And it was out of character. It was so out of character. I started thinking things and meditating on thoughts that I knew were wrong. My imagination would be thinking of all these types of scenarios, and I would be so heavy and angry and grief stricken and just irritable. And so I had to tap back in to therapy to understand where all of these things was coming from. I knew that it had something to do with my past and things that I was not talking about. Well, they started to come back up, in my devotion, in my prayer time. I would just have these thoughts and I'm like, oh my God, where did that come from? And so I just began to be led to go and deal very intentionally in therapy with very specific things. And I didn't find it as difficult to talk to a therapist in great detail as I would talking to my husband in great detail or talking to my friends in great detail about some of the trauma that I had experienced. So I let her have it. I put it all out there. And what I realized is I didn't know that I was hiding from him. I didn't know that I was refusing to trust him completely. I didn't know I was expecting him to read my mind and know what I wanted and know what I needed, even though I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know that I was angry all the time. I thought I was doing a good job of hiding it. I thought I was smiling on the outside and feeling angry on the inside, and he didn't know it. He knew. I didn't know how much he really loved me. I didn't know how much he wanted to make me happy. I didn't know how much he wanted me to be happy. And he did not know what to do. I didn't know it. I saw it as offensive that he didn't know how to help me, even though I didn't know how to help myself. And honestly, I didn't know I was teaching him to pull away from me. I was teaching him to not be so caring, to don't dote on me, to don't, just come and hold me and embrace me. I was communicating to him with my body language that that's not what I want. I don't want that. I don't need that. It's not necessary. So of course, he was not going to override my boundary. But I didn't realize that it was not a boundary that was set up to on a healthy system. It was a boundary that was set up from a place of trauma. And I didn't know. I wasn't able to connect those dots. Y'all, I did not know that my husband and I were on the same team. Like when my therapist said to me, "You are partners. You are on the same team. You are all working together." That was mind blowing to me. And what was more so mind blowing was the fact that it was mind blowing. That made me so sad that I didn't even see him as a partner. I still saw myself doing what I needed to do in order to get through, in order to survive. He does him, I do me. Like I was still in that separate mindset, in that independent mindset. And it was so ingrained in me, I didn't even realize that I did not even see our marriage as a partnership. It was so simple, but it was a huge revelation to me. And I started thinking like, he wants the best for me. He wants me whole. He wants me happy. He wants us to conquer the world. He wants us to be on the same page. My brain was so used to thinking of us as separate, with my purpose is this, your purpose is that. I'm heading this way, you're heading that way. Although we're married and we love each other and we live in the same house, our purposes were very much separate. And that's how I approached it. Oh, he doesn't understand. God has me on this separate trajectory. He doesn't understand that. I'm going to go over here and pursue that. And if he tries to stop me, I'm going to show out. I, I was so mixed and screwed up, y'all. My therapist asked me a question that just threw me for a loop. She said, "What if your husband is trying to find ways to show you how much he loves you? Can you tell me and identify for me those ways that he shows you?" And I had to sit with that, y'all, because I could see him like a movie in front of my eyes, all the ways in which he is trying to communicate to me that he loves me, that he's there for me, that he wants to help me, that he wants to hold me, that he wants to support me, and all the ways in which I blocked him from doing so. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart because the enemy had made me believe that I was in this by myself, that nobody was going to protect me but me, that nobody was going to keep me safe but me, that nobody was to be trusted with every part of me but me. I'm the only person who can keep these secrets, that can hold the weight of these secrets. It's me. And I further started to identify with my therapist's help that I was angry at myself for allowing myself to be in some of those situations. And that also broke my heart. My therapist had me do an exercise where I wrote a letter to my younger self and had a conversation with her. And I had to do this several times because the first time that I wrote it, I was communicating to her how upset I was with her. Why? Why did she trust so easily? Why does she believe those people had the best intentions? Why and how did you end up in that situation? Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you say no? Why didn't you speak up? Why did you let them take advantage of you? And I was so angry with my younger self. I was so angry with her, but really I was angry and disappointed and ashamed of myself. And that's where we had to start to unpack it, because as long as I felt those things about myself, there was no way that I could receive the love of anybody else. God, man, nobody. Not to the degree that I needed to experience it in order to be free. And that's where I had to start. I had to deal with the way that my brain had gotten used to thinking about love. Because of my childhood, I saw acts of love as transactional. I do this for you because you're going to do that for me, right? Or love making isn't for me, it's just for that person to satisfy their needs. It has nothing to do with me. But I am expected to perform well, just like what you see on TV, swing from the chandeliers, to be the Energizer Bunny morning, noon, and night. But what I didn't understand was nobody was requiring that of me. My husband definitely wasn't. But this is what I held in my brain, which made me angry. It made me so angry. Every little thing set me off because I was locked into the thought patterns from my childhood, from the abuse. And those scars, those wounds in my brain and in my body are now starting to manifest. If you've never read The Body Keeps Score, you need to read it, because it was mind blowing at how much your body remembers, even if you don't. And it can be triggered at any time. And you don't understand why you're acting the way you're acting, why you're mad, why you are in a rage, why are you in a corner crying, when you know that this is not a dangerous place, but you feel out of control, terrified. I had to go there. I had to go there. I had to understand that there were moments in my childhood journey when I had no idea how I ended up in situations. I had to understand from my childhood journey that there were several situations throughout my life where I just did what I thought I was supposed to do. There were situations where I did not have the physical ability inside of myself to say no. And once I started looking at this little girl and who she really, really was at that time, she was absolutely vulnerable. She was absolutely taken advantage of. She was absolutely manipulated and tricked and coerced. And that is where I had to sit with her and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to endure that. I'm sorry that nobody was there. I'm sorry that your voice stopped working. I'm sorry that you thought that that was what you were supposed to do. Little girl, I'm sorry. I forgive myself. I relieve myself from that responsibility to protect myself at such a young age. I no longer need to protect my heart because I am no longer in danger. We're okay now. I release you to be that child, to run, to play, to imagine, to dream, to be free, free of fear, free of regret. You can be free now because I got it from here. I now know and understand how these two worlds directly affect one another. And I now realize and am realizing that I have to deal with the past in order to walk in my divine future. I had to, because the mindsets, the boundaries, the strongholds, the survival mode from the past was literally killing me. It was killing me in my friendships. It was killing me in my marriage. It was killing me in my personal inner life. I had to reassociate myself with worth. I had to deal with the area of feeling worthy. And once I started making amends with the younger Marci, the older Marci, the Marci now started to have space open up to see her worth. I got a peek into my queendom. I started to see myself as God sees me. I started to value my real thoughts and my real opinions. But it wasn't easy. It was not easy. I felt like a clam, y'all. You know how a clam is just shut so tight? If you can't even pry that thing open. But once you take that clam and you put that clam in that water and you turn the heat up so much until that clam pops open and everything is open. Everything is vulnerable because of that pressure, because of that heat. And that's the way I felt. My journey, in my journey, I had to feel that heat in order to step into the woman that God has called me to be, in order to step into my inheritance, which is I am an heir of God. I am in a royal priesthood. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I can finally see myself in the Word of God because it's not about what I have done or what has happened to me. All of that means nothing. The price has been paid already. I am cleansed by the blood of the Lamb, and I no longer am bound by anything that has happened to me or anything that I have done or will do. It is irrevocable. I am a queen. I now see that prayer that I prayed 14 years ago. I can see it for what it is now. I can see this loving, kind, compassionate, man who was so consistent. He never yelled at me. He never judged me or made me feel judged. He never forced me along. He never withheld his affection from me, even though I would recoil. He was so consistent and kind. Now, I'm not saying he's perfect because he's not. God is still working with him as well. But it brings me so much joy to think that God created this human being to love me the way in which I needed to be loved at the exact time I needed to be loved. God orchestrated it all. And just as I experienced this gratitude, he experiences the gratitude on the other hand. The way that God created me, my true, authentic self, is who Joe needs. And I am finally getting to the place where I am able to minister to him in a way that only Marci can minister to him. And that's whole and complete for him because I am freeing myself. I am freeing myself. You know, God knew that I would need Joe's kindness in order to start this journey. And I'm so happy that I started this journey because he inspired me to. I knew that looking in the mirror of myself through him, that I wanted to be more. I wanted to be better. I knew that there was better in me. And because of his love, because of his kindness, because of his faith in God, I was able to take that step and take it seriously. I was able to take the reins of my life and get serious with my relationship with God and my relationship with myself and to work this thing out. And y'all, it is benefiting. It is bearing fruit. Whew, I want to give you some journal prompts for today. Remember, you can download the podcast workbook companion on my website, artistsatplayworkshops.com, and you can download your copy there and journal along with me in this process. So our journal prompt for this week is, what were you taught about love growing up? What were the things that you were given, or what were the things that were embedded in you about love? The next thing is, where do you need to love yourself more deeply? Really take your time with these because that's where the key is finding that self-love first. And it's not going to the spa and getting your nails done and getting facials. It can be a part of that, but Lord knows that's not it. It is getting inside of that heart and shining the light on every dark corner you see. Set yourself free. All right, here's our meditation for this week. I do not perform for love. I am already the beloved. You know, when I told you guys I threw myself a party last year, well, that party was, of course, celebrating the self-love that I had started to experience for myself. But it was also about opening my eyes to the love around me in my community and letting all of that love in, letting it in, and letting it minister to me. It was beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I do hope you will tune into our next episode. Until we meet again, you guys, walk in your queendom. Thank you for walking this stretch of the journey with me. If something in today's episode stirred your spirit, share this episode with a sister. Leave a review or connect with me on social media. Remember, your softness is sacred. Your healing is your birthright. And your queendom, it's already within you. Until next time, keep rising and claim your inheritance. This podcast was brought to you by Artists at Play, nurturing the artist within.